Hey folks, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Commuting with Chris here on Battery Powered. I gotta say, I was hesitant to throw this one out. It's raining, it's a crappy commute, but the foliage in New England right now is like peak. And as I'm driving, I'm looking at all the stuff going by, and I'm like, I couldn't resist throwing something out. So hopefully you're not even looking up here. Look out here, all the color changing. This is some awesome stuff. So that said, we're calling today's episode Dear iPhone XR, I Hate You, a love letter by Chris, which is a little bit of a strange title, but it all starts about a month ago. Go back to when the iPhone XS just came out, the XR was in the wings, the iPhone 7-8 just saw price drops. Yours truly threw together a cool little video talking about the best value in smartphones today. And it talks all about the iPhone 8 mostly. $599, 64 gig. I mean, that's half the price of the new devices. But it's also about 90% of the experience. Now, mind you, it has a smaller screen, but it is a good screen. It has, the old A11, but it's not a slouch. It's pretty darn fast still. It's competitive. I use an iPhone 8 daily, by the way, for those who don't know. But it's kind of like the classic iPhone 6 that got really, really updated, and it's got all the bugs worked out, and it just works well. It's reliable. There's no infant mortality issues. It's just a solid freaking device. Great aftermarket support, great cases, does fast charging, does wireless charging. It's really the perfect way to send that line of devices out. And as you know, it has a home button. It has a home button. But it's got the touch home button. So it's no moving parts. It's going to last longer than the clicker. Life good, right? So I threw that whole video together. And then I got thinking about it, and I said, it's clear. Apple's sending a message. They've got this iPhone X that came out last year, and then they have the iPhone XR and XS Max and all that stuff that came out this year. There's no more home buttons. So really, my videos started to turn into, if you want to go get a home button, now's the time. And now, kind of kicking forward to today, the iPhone XR has been out a little over a week or so, and I've been driving around with that. I'm actually filming this video on it, and I've got to say, I'm glad I never uploaded that video, because if my video was titled The Cheapest Smartphone You Could Buy Today, or People Who Don't Want to Give Up Their Home Button Because It's Gone After This Year, those would have been good titles for that video. But the best value, I think, needs to be brought over to the iPhone XR. Now, it's not without saying, Apple did this really, really cool thing last year. They released a $1,000 iPhone X that everyone said, holy crap, iPhone 10, whatever you're going to call it. I'm going to call them all sorts of different things in my video, just to keep everybody happy. But a $1,000 iPhone that came out a month after, they made everybody wait, they played all these games. And now this year they released some really, really expensive iPhones that they jacked the price up even more with more expensive options and storage, increasing the average selling price. So when you do that, you now kind of skew things so that $749 cost of entry on the 64 gig iPhone XR looks like a value. So, and that alone didn't push me over the edge, but I mean, when you think about it, $599 for a 64 gig iPhone 8, or an extra $150 for a better device, a device that's better literally in every way, other than being smaller and other than having a smaller touchscreen, it kind of became a no-brainer. So that said, here's what I really like about the iPhone XR. And I know you probably clicked on this title and you're like, but you hate it, right? Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you more about that in a sec. Because what I like first is, I didn't think I was going to like the LCD screen, but it's great. It's got a big old LCD screen, 6.1 inches to be exact. I use an iPhone XS Max as my other daily driver, and that one's got a bigger display on it, but really it doesn't feel like that much of a difference as it does going down to like an iPhone 8 or the iPhone XS. The XR and the XS Max feels like is pretty close. The camera on it is good. I take a lot of pictures with my phone. I pay a lot of attention to that, to the detail. I do a lot of editing and all that stuff. Sometimes people even see the pictures, but the point is, the XR camera is awesome. The front, the back, great cameras on both. No dual lens on the XR, but if you're going, what's the dual lens? Yeah, see, it doesn't even matter. The speed on the XR, like I said, is great for everything. It's got multiple colors. I never wanted a colored smartphone. Black is my favorite color. It's what I buy. It's the way it goes. I've just learned that. But I bought a blue iPhone XR, and it just looks cool. But I love that Apple's offering it in an array of colors. Now, It also supports fast charging, wireless charging. The real killer feature for me, though, on the XR is the battery. Like, it seems like, oh, it's a bigger display device, and it's LCD versus OLED on the XS Max, and oh, am I going to care? First off, you're not going to care about that color thing. And you're not going to care about the energy that the screen uses and how efficient it is against OLED, because the battery on this thing is awesome. It is awesome. And I'm fighting to say that it's a longer runtime than my XS Max. I don't want to say that just yet, because I think I'm using the XR more right now since I'm trying to test it, but the battery life seems about the same as my XS Max, which is pretty darn good. Considering that, I mean, I know a lot of people buy these things for the bigger screens, they don't care about the battery, but the neat part of this is, if you went back to like 2013, a bigger screen meant your battery was dying sooner. Now, the bigger screen means that you've got bigger battery and life is better. It's good. So, all that stuff, the XR is really the no-brainer device. Now, one quick thing, if you're this far in, 6 minutes, thanks again, by the way, I don't feel like the $749 is the best value of the devices for the XR, because for the extra $50 you can get 128 gig. I don't need 128 gig. I don't care. I don't even know how much storage I use, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great, cool. Do you take pictures? Do you read books? Do you watch movies? What else are you going to do with this phone? Because if you have not had a big screen phone till now, and even the iPhone Plus models have not had this big of a display, having all display will probably change some of your consumption habits. You're more apt to look at those photos, take more photos, record longer videos, record 4K videos. So these things may add to your device and to your device's storage, I mean, pretty significantly depending what you do with them, but it's nice to have the option. For only $50, there's no other model that Apple offers this on right now. Again, I think it's Apple's sort of reality distortion field. Could they have easily released the iPhone XR at $699 for the 64 gig? Yes, but then they really wouldn't sell any iPhone 8s at all, if they are now, other than to the enthusiasts that are lining up with backpacks and cash. But the XR 128 also has some futuristic value in terms of, if you're going to hold on to the phone for 3 years and give it to somebody, in that 3 years, 128 gig won't be a slouch for storage either. I mean, there was a time when people said 32 gig was too much for an iPhone. What am I going to put in 32 gigs? Oh my God. And now, look at it, right? So that's my feeling. $799, iPhone XR, 128 gig, best value in smartphones today. But you still haven't told us about what you hate. All right, here's what I hate. I've used 3D Touch for a long time. It took me... It still messes with me. 3D Touch on the iPhone XR doesn't exist, for those who don't know. If you don't know what 3D Touch is, cool. If you're coming over from an iPhone 6 or older, you don't even know what this is, and you could probably just stop watching, go order the phone, and have a great day. Thanks for watching. But if you do know what 3D Touch is, here's the problem for me. I've used it, I'm used to it, and when I interact with things on the XR, it almost like I need a button that comes up and says, we don't have 3D Touch, stop doing this. Because I keep trying to share icons and it throws them into delete mode. When I try to actuate the flashlight or the camera from the home screen, it delays a little and it sits there and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Oh, right, it's the timeout because of that 3D Touch sensitivity, because there is no 3D Touch. So it has to supplement it by holding your time on target for your finger. So when you touch the screen now, it's a number of milliseconds of that contact point to actuate things in some places. I mean, the other place I didn't realize I even used 3D Touch, honestly, until I used the XR, and that's why I'm so irritated by it. But the keyboard on the new devices, if you press your thumb into the keyboard on a 3D Touch device, it turns into a little trackpad. You can move your cursor wherever you want in the sentence, and that's great. I must use it 20 times a day because I find myself selecting alternate characters on the XR probably about 4 times a day and wondering why that's happening. It took some getting used to. So my advice is, if you're a switcher, if you're someone that's using an XS or another 3D Touch device frequently, even like an iPhone 8 or 6S or 7, whatever it is, and you're going between that and the XR, like some people have a personal phone and a work phone, it will mess with your head a little bit. It takes some time to get used to it. I found the easiest thing is just change the case out on my XR so that when I grab it, I don't accidentally confuse it for the XS Max. But whatever, textured case, slim case, whatever you want to do, that just kind of helps my brain work through this. But that's the thing one that I hate. The thing two that I hate, and it's kind of, again, it's splitting, it's nitpicking here. I realize that, but the thing too is that 6.1 screen, that aluminum frame, the slightly smaller device than the XS Max, it really hits the absolute sweet spot for handhold for an iPhone today. This is probably the parent phone. This is probably the phone that I will be procuring for my parents here right around the holiday seasons, depending on what we get for deals popping up. But this thing is the best screen to weight to size ratio that Apple has ever done in an iPhone. That is your reward for watching 10 minutes in. That is, in case you haven't figured it out, I put little nuggets in here, and I try to save this kind of stuff for late in. It's not like I forgot it. But anyways, it is, when I think, oh, I don't need this device, I've got the Max, I've got whatever, I'm just testing, I'm doing whatever, and then it's like I use it again for the afternoon or something, and it's like, it feels good, it fits good, it weighs good, it's less than the XS Max, a teeny bit more than the XS, but it's a way more comprehensive device at a lower cost than any of the other lower priced options out there. So that's why it gets our recommendation. So what color are you getting? Let me know in the comments. What questions, what else could I provide on this that would help you decide between the iPhone 8 or the XR? Or, you know, my goal, by the way, with these whole things is really, I'm not sponsored, I'm not profiting, I'm not doing anything out of this. I'm really just here to help try and connect people with the best experience for where they're trying to go. I get a lot of comments and a lot of conversations in my personal life about stuff like this, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, let me just point you to videos. So if there's more information that I could be throwing out there, there's something that I totally left out of this discussion, please let me know in the comments. I really appreciate everyone's feedback. If you like what we're doing, hit like, subscribe, share, notification bell, all that stuff. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, I really appreciate you spending this time with us on this commute. Thanks so much for watching. Commuting with Chris here in Battery Powered. Be well, folks.